Welcome, everyone, to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really getting into it, plunging into the world of international rugby, specifically that really interesting two-test series coming up.
Yeah, the Springboks versus Italy. Lots to talk about there.
Exactly. We're going to unpack the latest insights coming out of the Springboks camp. We've got some fascinating nuggets from a recent Planet Rugby article.
Oh, yeah, the one with Bongi and Mbonambi and Handre Pollard.
That's the one. Two absolute titans. Right. Our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to understand what the world champs are expecting from Italy.
And how they're gearing up for it.
Precisely. It's all about getting you the essential info, fast, thorough, so you really know what's going on.
Sounds good.
Okay, but before we dive any deeper, look, if you're as obsessed with rugby as we are, I mean, the strategy, the passion, just the sheer hits,
Yeah, all of it.
then make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession wherever you get your deep dives, honestly. You really won't want to miss what we've got coming up.
Definitely worth it.
Okay, so let's unpack this properly. The Springboks. They kicked off their 2025 international campaign recently.
And how? That Barbarians game.
Wow.
Right.
A resounding 54-7 thrashing in Cape Town last weekend. I mean, that's a dominant start. Sets a high bar.
No kidding. But now the focus shifts, doesn't it? Italy.
Yeah, and Italy, well, on paper, they're currently 10th in the World Rugby official rankings.
Which is what makes this so interesting, right? Because despite that ranking, you hear Mbonambi and Pollard talking, and they're clearly not underestimating the Azzurri. Not one bit.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
And this isn't just, standard pre-match talk. It really speaks volumes about that Springbok mentality, that sort of humility first thing they've got.
The Erasmus and Nienaber influence.
Exactly. They know, from hard experience, I guess, that underestimating anyone, regardless of rank, is dangerous. It's how they keep their own standards so incredibly high.
That's a really crucial point about their whole mindset. And Mbonambi, he was quite specific about Italy's strengths, wasn't he?
He really was. Yep.
He said the Italian pack proved what they can do in the Six Nations. So he's not just talking about, like, individual players.
No, it's more than that. He emphasized they're a team that believes in their systems and plays with a lot of passion.
Passion and systems.
Yeah, so he sees them as, well, tactically switched on and committed, really committed.
And he mentioned the coach, too, right? Quesada.
Spot on, Gonzalo Quesada. And Mbonambi credits him for driving that passion, that belief. He even noted, Italy might have a smaller player pool compared to South Africa.
Fewer pro clubs feeding the national team, yeah.
Right. But their players are, and this is his word, hardworking. So when a book like Mbonambi says they expect a tough day at the office,
You take notice.
you absolutely do.
Yeah.
It means they're bracing for a real physical battle. Breakdown, set piece, contesting every single inch.
Yeah.
It's proper professional respect for Italy's whole approach.
It shows they're looking beyond just the rankings, aren't they? They're looking at the heart, the strategy, the recent form.
Completely. And Pollard, the experienced fly-half double World Cup winner,
Yeah.
he echoed Mbonambi perfectly.
What did he focus on?
Again, Italy's passion and physicality. He flagged those as key things to watch. But here's where it got, I thought, really interesting.
Go on.
He pointed out that Italy is, quote, clearly evolving if one looks at their results in the last few years against some of the top teams.
Okay, that is significant. Coming from him, he's faced everyone.
Exactly. It signals a real upward curve for Italian rugby. It's just they're not the same side they were maybe even just a couple of seasons back.
So this evolution, what does that actually look like for Italy right now? Especially going up against the world champs.
This is the fascinating part. According to the source, Quesada, their coach, he strategically decided to rest several really experienced guys for this series.
Rest some against the Springboks. Who are we talking about?
Yeah. Key players like prop Simone Ferrari, hooker Gian Marcelo Casey, big parts of their scrum, usually a strength for Italy. Then you've got locks Dino Lamb and Federico Rusa, powerful guys. The halfbacks, Martin Page-Rollo and Paolo Garbisi. They're the playmakers.
Rod Garbicia, yeah, big name.
Huge. And in the backs, Juan Ignacio Brex in the midfield, the winger Ange Capuzzo.
Electrifying player.
Totally. And Tommaso Allen at fullback. Reliable. Plus, Mikel Amaro, their captain, in the back row.
Wow. Okay, hold on. That's a substantial list. That's a lot of starters sitting out.
It really is.
So what does that tell us about Italy's wider strategy, I mean?
Well, it seems like a very calculated move. It's probably not just about managing workload. It suggests Quesada has this long-term vision.
I think building depth.
Exactly. Giving younger guys, less experienced players, a massive opportunity. Vital international minutes against the best team in the world. It's like blooding new talent now.
While keeping the core fresh for maybe other challenges down the line, like the next World Cup or maybe targeting the Six Nations.
Precisely. Smart load management, smart talent development, potentially.
Yeah.
But even with all those guys out, Pollard was really clear. He stressed the Boks still have to stop them and to front up physically.
Right, so they expect the Italian DNA to still be there. Aggressive, direct.
Yeah, seems like it. They know they'll still need to match that intensity, whoever's wearing the blue jersey.
Makes sense. Okay, so shifting back to the Springboks then. Beyond looking closely at Italy, they've also set these incredibly high standards for ourselves. That's the quote.
Always.
And they want to implement those standards at test level. So it's not just about winning, it's about how they play, how they perform against their own internal measures. What does that mean for their own team dynamics? How do they keep that pressure cooker going inside the squad?
Well, that's another hallmark of this Springbok setup, isn't it? The sheer internal competition. It's fierce.
Especially at number 10, you mean, Pollard versus the others.
Exactly. Pollard, despite everything he's achieved, he's got serious competition from guys like Sacha Feinberg, Mngomezulu, and Manny Libbok, both hugely talented.
And that pushes everyone.
Massively. Pollard himself said it. He believes this intense competition motivates them immensely to give their best on the field at training. No one can just coast.
It shows the depth, doesn't it, in South African rugby?
Absolutely. And how that depth, that constant pushing each other, learning from each other, it helps them evolve together and essentially become better. It's like this virtuous cycle of improvement.
All driven by wanting that starting jersey.
And contributing to the team's, well, relentless pursuit of being the best.
And talking about Pollard specifically, there's another angle here too, isn't there? His return to the Bulls.
Oh, yeah. Big news.
Yeah.
After those stints in France and England since, 2019?
That's right. He's officially back with the Bulls, and he sounds genuinely excited about it.
You can tell. He said it's great being back in South Africa and back with the guys in camp.
And he mentioned Loftus Versfeld too.
Yeah, he said he's really looking forward to my time here and playing there again. That passionate home crowd, that kind of personal boost, that homecoming feeling.
It can definitely add something extra, can't it? Feed right back into those high standards.
For sure.
Okay, this is probably a good spot to pause and ask you listening. What are your thoughts on this series? We'd genuinely love to hear them. Are you surprised the Bones are showing Italy this much respect, given the rankings?
Or what about Italy's strategy? Resting all those key players. What do you think that signals about their long-term goals?
Yeah, let us know your opinions. We always find it fascinating to hear what stands out to you from these deep dives.
Definitely.
And just a reminder, folks, for more of this kind of in-depth rugby analysis, insights, all the stuff that gets you closer to the game, make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession.
Or wherever you get your deep dives. Don't miss out.
Okay, so let's try and sort of pull this together. What does it all mean for this upcoming series? I mean, this deep dive, it's really shown us, hasn't it? Even for the world champions, the Springboks, fresh off a huge win, every single opponent demands serious respect, thorough prep.
Yeah, they're not just playing Italy, the 10th ranked team. They're facing a side with a system, with huge passion.
And as Pollard said, an evolving strategy, even when they're resting big names.
It really highlights how dynamic international rugby is. Reputation isn't enough. Sustained success comes from constantly challenging yourself week in, week out.
No matter who you're playing.
Exactly.
So maybe here's something for you, the listener, to think about.
Go on.
In a sport that's so often about power, about experience, just how significant is that passion, that evolving strategy from a team like Italy? Can it really close the gap on the elite teams?
Especially when they make calculated risks, like resting key players. Can those intangibles, that long-term planning, actually make up for differences in depth or ranking over time? How quickly can that evolution really shift things?
And maybe flipping it on the Springboks side. How much does that relentless internal competition, like we discussed with Pollard at fly half, how much does that truly lift the whole team's performance?
Pushing individuals, pushing the collective to new levels. Is that ultimately what defines being a world champion? That constant internal drive.
Lots to chew on there.
Definitely.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this Rugby Obsession deep dive. We really hope you enjoyed digging into these nuggets of knowledge with us. Hopefully you've got a clearer picture of this fascinating series now.
Hope so.
And please don't forget to subscribe to Rugby Obsession for all our future deep dives. We look forward to you listening to our next episode.